Hi everyone and welcome back to our Qonic release video. I'm Barbara and with me is Jacob. He will show you everything live in Qonic during this video. So if you ever felt BIM was harder than it should be, you're not alone. Complicated workflows, heavy software and version chaos, we know the pain. And our mission with Qonic is to cut through the complexity and make BIM simple for everyone, from designers and contractors to BIM managers. So in Qonic you can import your models straight from SketchUp or Revit and start working instantly. No waiting times, no downloads, you just need your browser. And today we've got 3 updates that make your work even smoother, and let's get into it. So I think we'll all have way too many passwords to remember, so we wanted to make it easier in Qonic. You can now just sign in with your Microsoft or Google account, quick and simple.
Yeah, indeed. So when going to the sign up page of Qonic, instead of having to enter an email address, you can actually just use your Google account or your personal Microsoft account to log into Qonic. So for instance, here I'll just use my Google account, I'll pick an account, and in just 2 clicks I've now entered the Qonic environment. So fewer clicks, fewer passwords to remember, easy sign up and login.
Sounds great. Okay, next, the fresh interface, because let's be honest, a lot of BIM tools feel cluttered and confusing. You spend more time figuring them out than actually using them. So that's why we've given Qonic a cleaner, a lighter look. The menus are more grouped and the inspect panel is more readable.
Yeah, so the icons are now combined into logical groups, as you can see here on the left hand side, for instance, basically to declutter the interface a bit. Everything looks a bit lighter, a bit cleaner. We've basically made sure that all of the colors are more consistent across the different tooltips and different menus, so everything just looks slightly more modern and user-friendly. Also, when taking a look at the panels, for instance, you will see that the panels are ever so slightly narrower than before, basically to make sure that we have enough screen space saved for the 3D model itself. And also the text has become slightly more compact, so you can actually parse more information without needing to scroll through long lists. Also, when taking a look at the inspect panel, for instance, you see that there's several changes here. Again, to make everything slightly more readable and easier to digest. For example, when I hover over a property, I can see this nice gray outline to basically indicate what is part of this property. So really to see a bit quicker what information is actually relevant. We've also made it easier to add properties and other attributes to objects by basically unifying the interface to do so. So for example, previously when we wanted to assign a material to an object and a property to an object, those would be in 2 separate places. Now it's just one single click here. I can just use this simple plus button, which allows me to add locations, materials, codes, types, and properties to objects. So all in one place, very easy to understand.
Cool, looks very nice. Okay, finally, the smarter filters. If you ever wasted time clicking through endless property values just to track down the right products, this is going to save you a lot of frustration, because we've added smarter filters in the browse and the report panel.
Yeah, so for instance, here I have the report panel open, and let's say I want to search for specific materials in my model. So let's make this configuration here. I want to group by material, and now I want to apply a filter on this material value as well. So let's say when we're interested in all of the materials that contain the word concrete. So I can start typing in concrete. Now previously, if I wanted to basically enable all of these objects that contain the word concrete, I would have had to click all of these individual materials to add them to the list. Now we can just basically click this contains filter, hit apply, and now I will only see the materials that contain this word concrete in just a few clicks, again to make it easier for you to find the values that you need. This goes a bit further as well, for example, for slightly more complicated patterns or values. So let's say, let me go to my configuration of beams and columns grouped by type. So we have these C profiles, these white flange profiles, and so on. Now let's say I'm interested in a specific subset of these white flange profiles. So I will add a filter So right now I already have a filter for objects that are made of a material that contains the word steel. So I already have this contains filter. Let's add another filter here. I will filter on the type name, which is a property of these steel beams. And here we can see all the type names available in the model. I'm interested in, let's say, some wide flange beams. And let's say I'm interested in all the wide flange beams that have a weight of 200 pounds per foot. So that's basically this second part of this W14x22. This 22 basically means 22 pounds per foot, per linear foot of this profile. Now, I might be interested in both the 14x22, but also maybe the 16s and the 18s and so on. So in that case, I would have to basically use a sort of what we call a wildcard to indicate this kind of pattern. We currently support two types of wildcard characters. So on the one hand, that's the asterisk, which basically denotes a string of undefined number of characters. So if I would say, for example, W asterisk X, this means it finds all of the objects or all of the type names that contain W, then a undefined number of random characters, and then X. The second type of wildcard character we have is a question mark, which is one single character, a random character. So for example, if I would say W asterisk ask question mark, X question mark, this basically means give me strings that contain W, a random string of undefined number of characters, the letter X, and then one random character. So for example, if I would say WX2 and two question marks, basically denotes everything that contains this W, then a random string, X2, and then two other characters. So for example, in this case, that would mean actually everything that has between 200 and 300 pounds per foot of this profile. So when choosing this pattern filter here and applying this, I will see indeed only those profiles that have this weight starting with a 2 and with 2 characters after that. So very versatile, can be used for any kinds of filtering. Also maybe if you're looking for, let's say, specific codes in a codification system or other patterns, can be used for this as well.
I think it's a huge time saver. No more playing detective in your own model. Okay, well, that's it for this release. The smarter filters we showed were actually improved thanks to the input of a user. So please keep sharing your feedback because it really helps us shape Qonic around your workflows. And if you'd like to see us live, we'll be in Berlin on the 23rd of September for Qonic Talks alongside the Building Smart Summit. So that's the perfect chance to meet us in person, ask your questions, and see BIM without boundaries in action. Of course, you don't have to wait until then. You can try Qonic for free today. Import your model and experience how much simpler BIM can be. So thanks for watching and see you in the next release. Bye-bye.
Bye.